Beleaguered shadow president Elon Musk sat down for an interview with Fox News' Brett Baer, and it was a total dishonest disaster as he desperately tried to spin DOGE's failures into successes to the American people, whom, according to recent polls, don't trust DOGE or him. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, let's play several clips from this interview. Again, this is a desperate bid by Elon Musk to salvage his reputation and the reputation of DOGE, in which, according to poll after poll after poll after poll, the American people increasingly do not approve of. He is objectively unpopular, and so is DOGE. But let's see what he tries to pull off here.
What are the budgetary savings goals, and how much do you think you've achieved so far?
Our goal is to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion. From a nominal deficit of $2 trillion to try to cut the deficit in half to $1 trillion, or looked at it in total federal spending to drop the federal spending from $7 trillion to $6 trillion. Sort of at a high level, you should think of this as we want to reduce the spending by eliminating waste and fraud, reduce the spending by 15%, which seems really quite achievable. The government is not efficient, and there's a lot of waste and fraud. So we feel confident that a 15% reduction can be done without affecting any of the critical government services.
Except you've already affected critical government services, you moron. This is the problem. Like, DOGE has already been an abject disaster. My God, they fired the people who tended to our nuclear stockpile and desperately had to hire them back. There are issues with the Social Security Administration as a consequence of DOGE's meddling. They've already affected critical government services. They've not been efficient. And by the way, I'll point out that when Elon Musk announced DOGE on the campaign trail, he said, oh, we could cut $2 trillion, easy peasy, from the federal government. He lied. Then a couple of weeks later, oh my God, I'm sorry, I mean $1 trillion. And then after that, he was like, well, maybe not $1 trillion. We're going to try to get to $1 trillion. And by the way, the receipts that they've produced along the way haven't actually manifested itself in meaningful cuts. As a matter of fact, the deficit has increased under Donald Trump. And when they've said they purported to create, for example, billions of dollars in savings, it turns out that in at least one particular case, instead of $8 billion, it was an $8 million contract that they terminated. So these people can't be trusted. But we'll continue. Here's another clip.
I do agree that we actually want to be careful in the cuts. So we want to measure twice, if not thrice, and cut once. Actually, that is our approach. They may characterize it as shooting from the hip, but it is anything but that. Which is not to say that we don't make mistakes. If we were to approach this with the standard of making no mistakes at all, that would be like saying someone in baseball's got to bat 1,000. That's impossible.
How about you make as few mistakes as possible? Nobody's expecting perfection of you or any other government actor, but your mission should be make as few mistakes as possible. And instead, based on your performance and based on the performance of DOGE, which is why it's reflected so terribly in the polling for you, it seems like you're eager to make every damn possible mistake. And rookie, amateur, stupid mistakes. Again, auditing blunders left, right, and center. Your DOGE website was delayed. You missed deadlines. You left the back door open on the website so people could go in and post bullshit, bogus savings, people who are just everyday civilians. You fire people that you desperately scramble to rehire. You guys make mistakes all the time. And it'd be one thing, Elon, if your online demeanor or your off-camera demeanor matched this current one, which is awkward but trying to be humble. The problem is you constantly contradict yourself. You're one of the most community-noted and fact-checked people on your own damn website because you lie with impunity and you don't apologize when you get it wrong. As often as you screw things up and get things wrong, you should do a mea culpa publicly every time you do and apologize and promise to do better. But you fail. There's a reason that nobody trusts you, including an increasing number of Republicans. But we'll continue.
I'd just like to sort of reemphasize that point. The success of DOGE is only possible with President Trump and with the outstanding cabinet that he selected. It would be impossible without the support of the president.
Well, of course it would, because all your power derives from him. Yes, you are the co-president, but your name isn't on the letterhead. You're just like you're Tywin Lannister from Game of Thrones. I withdraw that statement. Tywin's one of my favorite villains, a very competent figure. You are not. You wish you were Tywin Lannister, but you're supposed to be. You're trying to be the hand of the king, man. You your power comes from Trump's weakness, from his indebtedness to you based on your $300 million contribution to his campaign and to his political project. But yeah, again, trying to debunk those shadow president allegations, and it's not really working. But here's another clip, this time from one of Musk's sidekicks.
A few weeks.
But the process, it still involves Congress, right? At some level?
We try to keep Congress as informed as possible, but the law does say that money needs to be spent correctly. It should not be spent fraudulently or wastefully. It's not contrary to Congress to avoid waste and fraud. It is consistent with the law and consistent with Congress. And we've seen actually great support, at least from the Republican side of the House, and occasionally some Democrats too. A few weeks.
You're hemorrhaging the few Democrats like Jared Moskowitz and Ro Khanna who were willing to work with you. You've burned all that goodwill because of your constant fuck-ups, your constant mistakes, your reckless dishonesty, the fact that you, again, it's almost like a schizophrenic personality, right? The Elon Musk online versus the Elon Musk on camera. They're both incredibly awkward, but you lie with impunity, you get everything wrong, and you are allergic to transparency. You are allergic to transparency. So yeah, you're only getting support from the Republican side because they're afraid of your money and they're afraid of your co-president, Donald Trump. But no, Congress is the predominant branch. And when Congress allocates funds, when they appropriate funds, you have a constitutional and legal obligation to do what the fuck you're told. That's it. When the statute gives you discretion, then you have discretion, and fair enough. And most statutes, listen, a lot of appropriations do. The Congress gives the executive a wide berth, but when they don't, or when they tell you X amount of money goes to Y cause, you need to shut up and do what you're told, period. And you seem to think that Congress is actually like an afterthought in your entire project. And it's incredibly disgusting stuff, I should say. Here's another clip, perhaps one of the most bewildering, if not the most bewildering of the entire interview.
Usually when they attack DOGE, they never attack any of the specifics. So they'll say what we're doing is somehow unconstitutional or illegal or whatever. We're like, well, which line of the cost savings do you disagree with? And they can't point to any. And we list them all on doge.gov.
It's been debunked to hell and back. I've done multiple videos on this. Luke Beasley's done multiple videos on it. Adam Mockler, Brian Tyler Cohen, David Pakman, Jack Cottrell. Everybody's done videos on this. People in the mainstream media and legacy media have done videos debunking this as well. In many cases, going line by line across your purported savings. The New York Times investigative reporters have done this. Axios, the Washington Post. This has been debunked to hell and back when it comes to your line by line purported savings. You have fudged the numbers. You have failed to substantiate so much of your claims. But here's the bigger problem. Not only is he wrong about the lack of substantiation of the line by line critiques we have, but even this idea, like, all they do is complain that, like, we're an unconstitutional agency. Like, well, what's up with... Bro, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, at least it's supposed to be. And so if your government outfit contradicts the Constitution, that's a big problem. As a matter of fact, I've got a hot take for you. In a theoretical world where DOGE actually is competent and good faith, and it's still unconstitutional, that means it's still a problem. DOGE could actually be what Elon Musk lies to you about and pretends it is, and it would still be objectively wrong and worthy of destruction if it's unconstitutional, because it's contradicting the supreme law of the land. Unfortunately for the rest of us, and unfortunately for, I suppose, the country as a whole, is DOGE is not only unconstitutional, it's also wildly incompetent, and in many cases, seemingly recklessly malicious. But again, and I'll also point out, just folks, just handy, like if you don't want to refer to a specific article because it's locked in time, Wikipedia has a constant, ever updating tracker, and I think others do as well, of DOGE's incompetence, response to the Department of Government Efficiency. And if you go here, go to criticisms, and oh my God, you keep scrolling for days. It like actually categorizes the ongoing screw ups of this organization. But I digress. Here's another clip.
No, in fact, what we're doing will help their benefits. Legitimate people, as a result of the work of DOGE, will receive more Social Security, not less. I want to emphasize that. As a result of the work of DOGE, legitimate recipients of Social Security will receive more money, not less money.
All right.
I want to emphasize that point and let the record show that I said this. And
let the record show this. What the hell does that have to do with anything? You've lied so much. There's records. You are the most prolific, high-profile tweeter on your website. Like, you post an ungodly amount of time, and you've been fact-checked, and community noted to hell and back. This idea, like, guys, listen, I'm saying it on the record. Like, there's a public record of my claim here. So yeah, I mean, it must be true. No, you are an inveterate liar, much like Trump himself. What you say carries very little currency by way of veracity. You've been debunked to hell and back. And again, Democrats have been on this just relentlessly, talking about the serious issues that DOGE has created for Social Security, not just, the purported millions of dollars. There are billions of dollars worth of cuts in Social Security, waste, fraud, and abuse, even though there's no credible evidence to support that, meaning that they must, by definition, be cutting Social Security benefits if they intend to cut that amount of money, number one. But number two, even the technical issues with Social Security, by cutting Social Security offices, by cutting Social Security phone staff, making it more difficult for legitimate Social Security recipients to actually claim their benefits or address any actual issues that they have in claiming their benefits that they're already entitled to. None of that makes any sense. As a matter of fact, Brett Baer calls out a specific technical issue that just so happened to pop up after DOGE took control of the Social Security Administration.
Washington Post, the Social Security Administration website crashed 4 times in 10 days this month because the servers were overloaded, blocking millions of retirees and disabled veterans from logging into their online accounts. Freaked people out. Is that going to change?
Yes, we're going to make sure that the website stays online.
Yeah. I mean, but is it a result of going in there or something you're doing?
No. The amount of issues that were the Social Security system are enormous. As an example, there are over 15 million people that are over the age of 120 that are marked as alive in the Social Security system.
And that's an accurate figure?
Yes.
Correct.
15 million?
Correct. This has been something that's been identified as a problem. Again, pre-existing problem.
These figures have been fact-checked to hell and back, and I'll also point out that the claims of people, these long-dead people collecting Social Security checks, in the vast majority of instances, if not the totality of them, it's because of the COBOL system. You date certain things out, but these people aren't actually receiving the benefits because they're not alive. It's just a fluke. I don't want to call it a glitch of an antiquated system, but it's not like long dead people are actually getting Social Security benefits. Again, just so frustrating. By the way, this is the Washington Post article about the Social Security website. Long waits, waves of calls, website crashes. A flood of cuts led by Elon Musk has sent the agency into chaos as a new commissioner prepares to take charge. And again, he's like, well, that has nothing to do. Sheer coincidence. Interesting. No evidence to support this idea that it was just sheer cosmic coincidence. And it seems like the increasing issues with Social Security began on your watch, when your clumsy watch, but he wants you to believe it has nothing to do with him. Last clip, okay, and again, just gives you insight into Elon Musk's very twisted thinking.
Are necessary for any company to function. So, like, if the federal government, if a commercial company operated the way the federal government does, then it would be immediately go bankrupt. It would be delisted. The officers would be arrested. The changes are necessary for any company.
So here's the problem. The federal government is not a private company. It's not your private company. It's a public enterprise, infinitely more complicated and more important than any company, which is why you treating it that way is super stupid, right? This may work in Silicon Valley. This may work, on Wall Street or something like that, where you, again, go fast and break things, but that's not how the government's supposed to work. It's just not. And not everything is about turning a profit. You want to make it as efficient as possible to be sure, but you need to be surgical and careful, because when you screw up the way that you have so spectacularly, it affects a hell of a lot more people that you don't have the right to screw with, right? If it's your company and you screw up, you could make the case, well, it's my company, I'm in charge, it's a private business, and so if it happens to negatively impact people, I guess I have the legal right to do so. That's not the case when you are helping run the government. You're supposed to serve the people. It's not serve your own profit margin. You're supposed to serve the people. And so this idea that you're transposing the private sector mentality onto the public sector, it just goes to show that he is woefully inadequate for this job. And he really is. What a disastrous interview. I'm looking forward to all the relentless fact checks from CNN, MSNBC, and so many others, perhaps myself included. But I just had to vent with you about this in real time. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.